Okay, Alan, we're recording. All right. Good evening. I call to order West Jordan City Council meeting for this evening, which is Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. All members of the council are present with exception of Council Member Jacob, who will be joining us electronically momentarily. We're also joined by council office staff, by Mayor Burton, various members of his staff, and members of the public. First item tonight will be the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Chad Lamb. Chad?
Would the audience please rise? Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lamb. Tonight, we do have a few public hearings. If you'd like to speak to the public hearings, we'd encourage you to wait until the public hearings for those items. We do also have citizen comment, which is what we're going to go to now. If you aren't going to be available for the public hearings and still want to speak about those items during citizen comment, you can. You just can't talk about the same topic twice. So with that being said, if you would like to speak to the during public comment, anybody is welcome to speak about anything on their mind. It doesn't have to be on our agenda. It's up to you, whatever you'd like to share. You can have up to 3 minutes to share whatever your thoughts are. Council doesn't typically engage in back and forth. We typically are just here to listen during that comment time. Your time to comment is our time to listen. So with that, if you're online and would like to speak during citizen comments, please hit the little button at the bottom of the screen that says raise hand. But we will start with the folks that are here in the room. If there's anybody that would like to speak during citizen comment, please come up to the microphone now. So there are a couple public hearings. If you want to speak at the public hearing, we're going to have time for the street renaming to speak specifically to that here in just a few minutes. Sorry, I should have clarified that a little better. Okay. Not seeing anybody online or in the room that would like to speak during citizen comments, we will close citizen comments and move on to reports to City Council. After the reports to City Council, we'll be at our public hearings. So, Council reports to share over the last week's actions. We'll start with Councilmember Green.
I just want, if you missed the text, I just want to make sure that the fire department gets recognized for the ceremonial send-off they did for one of their firefighter paramedics who is, if you didn't know this, one of our firefighter paramedics is a warrant officer in the Utah National Guard who flies Apaches. And today was his final flight. Sorry, somebody who's been in the Guard for almost 40 years and retired just a couple of years ago, that's emotional for me because he's a warrant officer just like I was, although I didn't fly. But what they did was they got the 2 fire trucks out and did a water cannon over the aircraft as he flew under it. It's a great ceremony. So thanks to the fire department for recognizing one of our citizen soldiers who's dedicated much of their life to service the country. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Green. Do note that Councilmember Jacob is online. I'm not seeing any other lights for council reports unless there's something from Councilmember Jacob. Does not appear to be so. We will move over to reports from the council office. Mr. Anderson.
Just to let the council know, we did get 8 applicants for the West Jordan Youth Council. We also have an adult advisor that we will be meeting tomorrow afternoon. And we are launching that on November 14th, and we are planning to do an oath of office for the Youth Council on November 15th. And that's all we have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Burton.
Thank you, Council. It's a pleasure to be here, especially with what we have on the agenda. Looking forward to that portion. But before that, let's talk about a couple things that happened this past week. Everybody here should be aware. If not, I don't know where you've been. We had the Home Depot board cutting 1 week ago today, last Wednesday. And I think they've been successful with that. So I've gone past there a few times. Their parking lot looks plenty full. So thank you for council members for coming and sharing some time there with us. Last Friday, I attended with Chief Valentine and some other officers the NAACP banquet. And this is a group who was playing for them while we were there. Chief Valentine is a lifetime member of the NAACP. And each year he invites a few people to join him as his guests at that event. Salt Lake City Airport added completion of Concourse A. So when you go down, you can turn right now, and you have lots of gates there. They're all Delta gates, and that happened at 5:30 in the morning on the, it was that? It was Thursday morning. No, it was Tuesday, yesterday, Monday. Anyway, it happened recently, right there, Tuesday the 31st. Now I know when it is. And that's Mayor Mendenhall who spoke to the group and welcomed people to Salt Lake City Airport. So that's kind of exciting. Some upcoming events. As you see on there, the first Fridays. This week is our first Friday, so I look forward to seeing you there Friday at the concert at the Viridian. And remember, it's free. You don't need to bring money when you come to that. And then also the Viridian Center. Oh, by the way, that'll be David Park, who will be there with his friends. And the concert begins at 7:30. And then, just so you know, in December, the first Friday will be our kickoff for our winter events. And I heard that Santa will be joining us on that day. So I look forward to seeing you there with Santa. And the Bingham Creek Trail, we'll have a public open house on Wednesday, November 8th at the Viridian. You're invited to come to that and learn what's going on with the Bingham Creek Trail. Also, we have our City Easeways and Shred event. The last one of the year will be happening on November 4th over at Public Works. So if you have any papers you think you want anyone else to see, bring them over. Or your electronics, bring them out. We get them recycled for you. And November 11th is Veterans Memorial Day. And we invite you to join us at the park at 10:30 for our Veterans Day event at the Veterans Memorial Park. A couple other things just to be aware of. November 10th is the day that the city offices will be closed because the 11th, which is Veterans Day, is on a Saturday. So the city offices will be closed on the 10th. And one other thing, H-Mart. You've heard a lot about that. That's what it looks like right now. They have permits. They are working in there. Their goal, if supply chains will allow, is to be open before Christmas this year. So that's exciting. We'd like to see that happen. That is my report.
Thank you, Mayor. City Chief Administrative Officer's report. Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll come up for me, and then I'd like to turn it over to our Public Works Director to give you an update from Public Works. As you know, our city remodel has been held up, awaiting a key electrical panel for the building that has slowed down construction for quite some time. That electrical panel was received on Monday, allowing the project to now start moving forward again in all haste. So we are anxiously pursuing the completion of that project. We're glad to have that electrical panel in hand.
Wouldn't feel like a complete report if we didn't hear from Mr. Clegg.
Thanks, Council Chair and Council. Just a couple of updates. Alan, you already got it up. Let's talk about the Dominion project on 1300 West. As you can see, here's an estimated schedule for when they're going to be demobilizing and opening up the road. So I'll go from south to north. So we'll start in the orange area. That is slated to open up around November 12th. They've already started to demob. They've completed most of the pavement restoration and opening that back up. Right now, they're currently working in the blue area between about 7900 south and 8040 south. They're boring that right. Well, it's bored. They're going to start pulling the line this Friday, which will be a 1 to 2 day operation to pull the line 30 feet deep. Once that's in, they'll do the asphalt restoration there, and then they'll flip the bore machine around to face north, and they'll start boring. That's when the 7800 south bore will take place, and that should be wrapped up around December 22nd, which hopefully all of the road will be open to 2 lanes. They still got to come back in the spring and do all the tie-ins, but that won't take the complete road, the 2 lanes. It'll be open to traffic. So that's kind of the update now. We are working, I had council members ask me about on these projects that take longer than that were estimated, if we can charge what's called liquidated damages. Unfortunately, right now we can't call that based off agreement. We have different ways, but we are looking at our encroachment permit process to possibly start charging road rental fees. And if it's over a certain amount of time, then just to help motivate people to move a little quicker based off of this project that has a hard time meeting deadlines. So secondly, I know some residents showed up last council meeting last week and had concerns on the traffic from the Dominion project off of 8200 South and Redwood Road. We currently have signage up there that states no big trucks or no trucks over 18,000 or 16,000 pounds. Well, that's not stopping them. We're going to be setting up some water barricades tomorrow, Jersey barricades, to restrict the lanes to where the normal vehicle will be able to pull through. So we'll try it and see what happens, and if it stops the truck traffic. And another thing we have to look at is the asphalt plant. It should be closing down here pretty quick with the temperature dropping. They're not going to be batching asphalt, so that should cut down a lot of the truck traffic, but we're still going to put these traffic control measures in place just to see what we can do. So,
Questions for Mr. Clegg, Councilmember Green.
So on the Dominion project, it says it's going to go from 710 south to 78. I'm assuming that means that it's not reaching all the way to Barton Hollow or Highland Hollow.
no, I'll explain that. So behind Maverick, they have the high pressure station there. They're running the line into that, then coming back out and just stubbing out into the road. That's phase 3 of the widening project, right? But before will come back and finish their work going north, but that'll probably be a year or 2 out.
So really what we're talking about is the road closure from the intersection to the
Station
to the substation.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That will be, and that should be completed around the 22nd too.
Okay.
So we'll see.
I just wanted to make sure it didn't affect Chad Lamb too much.
Not yet.
He's not paying attention. So.
So that's the latest on the updates. Do you guys have any further questions?
No, that'll do it.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
That's it from me, Chair. Thank you.
All right. Well, that concludes reports to the City Council. So we will move on now to public hearings. First public hearing tonight, just really quick clarification. The number for this should actually be 23-40. But this is the ordinance, proposed ordinance to rename 1510 West from about 8870 South to 9130 South to Eli Mitchell Way. Laurie Thompson, I believe, is going to explain this one to the council. After she describes what's being proposed, we'll see if there's questions from the council for her. After the council has a chance to ask her questions, we'll open it up for the public hearing and hear your thoughts, and then we'll return to the council for a decision. So we'll start with Laurie. Button on the right.
Right.
There we go.
Okay. So this was a request by Lisa and Jeremy Mitchell to rename 1510 West, which is just off of 90th South. There's the map right there. To honor their young son whose life was unfortunately taken at that intersection. Sorry. And they would like to rename that to Eli Mitchell Way. I have spoke with the county, and even though this is slightly against, or not necessarily against, but slightly in disagreement with their code, they are happy as long as the council approves this request.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Go right ahead.
What's the county's policy that because I know we've looked at that before, but
They do not like proper names as a named road any longer. It used to be something that was really popular, but where this is two names of a person, like for example, Rosa Parks or Ron Wood, they don't do that anymore. They are trying to move away from any type of proper name.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
No questions for staff. But council, there was on here, I just want to make sure that you're aware that because of the 90th South construction right now underway with UDOT, that it is staff's recommendation that if you do agree to this name change, that we wait on placing the sign at the intersection of 90th and 1510 West until that construction is completed. And if we do so, the contractor for that project has agreed to change the name, change the sign name as approved, and it would be no cost out of anyone's pocket. It would be part of the project.
Thank you. So I'm not seeing any questions for staff from council. Oh, Councilmember Pack.
Oh, thank you, Chair. So how long of a delay would that be? How long are they proposing?
Right now, their estimated time to get that particular intersection complete is May of 2024.
Thank you.
What would be the cost associated with going now versus waiting?
So it would be on the city to create the sign and the cost of the sign, which would be roughly about $150. Plus, because you would need to do 2 signs. Plus, it would be contracting with either Salt Lake County or UDOT to change the signs, as we do not have the equipment in place to be able to reach those overheads.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. And as soon as I say that, I do. Councilmember Jacob online raised his hand the second I said I didn't see anything else. So Councilmember Jacob, please, your questions for staff.
I try to keep you on your toes there. Excuse me. My question is, when we renamed the other street, there were very few addresses involved. This one has a few more addresses involved, it looks like. What is the process with the post office as far as people getting mail, people getting, businesses getting their thing, you know what I mean? As far as that getting updated, is there a process that we need to do with that? I didn't think about that last time we did this.
So when we take a street that has a coordinate as their street name, we leave that coordinate on the named street so that they have time to transition into just using the named street. So when the affidavit is recorded, it'll be recorded to say 1510 West will now be known as Eli Mitchell Way, but to retain the 1510 West as its coordinate. And that'll give those businesses time to transition their paperwork or their websites into that new name.
And if it was like in the last case when we had New Bingham go to Copper Hills Parkway, if it's a name to a name, is it any different?
It doesn't retain that. When it changed from New Bingham to Copper Hills, that was it. There's going to be a transition period that the post office is aware that was the same name, but it doesn't retain a coordinate because the coordinate changes.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Last call for real this time. Any other questions for staff? All right. Not seeing any. Thank you, Laurie. Now we'll open up the public hearing. So anybody who would like to share their thoughts on the proposal to rename this section of the street to Eli Mitchell Way is now invited to speak to the council. Similar to before, if you're online and would like to speak to this, please hit the little icon at the bottom of the screen to raise your hand. Folks here in person and online will have up to 3 minutes to speak to this. And again, we don't engage in back and forth. We're just here to listen. This is a public hearing for us to hear. So with that, please, you can be our first to come up and address the council. We just ask that you share your name and city of residence, and then we'll start the timer.
My name is Randolph Taylor. I reside in West Jordan for many, many years now. I appreciate the time before the council to offer a vote of confidence in favor of this change. I realize there's some slight inconveniences, as just explained, possibly, but I believe that it would be a very honorable thing to do. I am Eli Taylor Mitchell's grandfather, and would appreciate the fact that this little piece of street would be in memory to this fine young man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And again, if you would please share your name and city of residence, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
I'm Jeremy Mitchell. I'm Eli Mitchell's dad. I've been a resident of West Jordan for 35 years. I went to Riverside Elementary, West Jordan Middle School, and West Jordan High School, and then I still live in West Jordan. So I was a head sweeper actually at Riverside Elementary too, just like to mention. So long-time resident. As you guys, many of you know, my son was killed by a drunk driver on this location, and one of the reasons why it's so important to me is we understand memorials can't stay in that it can clutter the city and look ugly. But unfortunately, it had to be removed. We had a little sign there at one time, really as a reminder to us, and we wanted it to be a reminder to anybody that's drinking and driving or thinking about drinking and driving to not do it, because it puts a risk on innocent people like ourselves, and it puts a risk on the victim and their families as well. It's just a lose-lose situation for all. And so when that sign got removed by UDOT, which we understand and we're not mad, we were like, how can we honor Eli, and also for the community that lives by there and knows what happened, and people maybe that drink and drive, to remind them not to. We thought this would be a good way to honor him. I work in West Jordan as well, so I drive down 90th South, kind of by Dan and Yogurt. I work out by that, where kind of, if you guys know where that's at, and then I drive home every day. So that's where I get to drive by this spot every day of my life. And I was the first one on scene as the family member to get told by the police that this happened. So although it's a sad thing that occurred, we're trying to make this sad thing into a positive, and just to try to help make things better in the future. So I appreciate you, council, for taking the time. I realize it's a little bit of an inconvenience. I also wanted to say we're happy. We submitted, I can't remember what the phrase is, but where the city pays for it, and we were happy. I just want to take that off however you do that, and tell you we would be happy to pay for it. It means so much to us for that. So thank you for your consideration in this, and thank you, Mayor, and everybody that's helped us. I mean, literally, it was the city that helped us figure out the process of how to do this, but it just means a lot, and there's more reasons than just honoring Eli. But again, one of the things for me is people that know the story, and we've tried to make it very vocal, because the other thing I want to make sure you guys know is we're trying to change legislative laws and work with the government to make things even more stronger to help prevent this from happening to any other families, because our goal is we don't want this to happen to anybody else. So thank you for your time, and I think my wife's going to say something too.
Thank you. Please come on up. Real quick, Alan, I'm not seeing the timer on the screen. Okay, and again, if you would please share your name and city of residence.
Absolutely. My name is Lisa Mitchell, and I am a resident of West Jordan and have been, I think, my whole life, actually. I am so grateful for the opportunity to, I'm always grateful for the opportunity to tell anybody about Eli. And my desire to do that has gotten stronger since his passing. One thing that I have felt passionate about is introducing people to him and turning this situation that has been so tragic and difficult into as much good as possible. And we've been trying very hard as a family to do that. We were involved in Zero Fatalities asked us to be involved, and we just were at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and the front of the book said learning from those we've lost. And although I really want this for us as a family, I feel more passionate that it's so important that there are reminders to those driving on our streets and in our communities that drinking and driving has dire consequences. And I think sometimes it's easy for people to forget when they are not the ones who've lost their son. We'll never forget. And we would love to do what we can to prevent others from experiencing the same situation. I just thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present this and to make this change. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to address the council tonight on this one?
Bob the Door, West Jordan, about 25 years. I didn't know this family until more recently I was able to talk with some of them. But a while back, I had a very short career as a breaking news reporter on TV. And one of my first stories was this story. And knowing that it was so close to my home was very tough for me, and was one of the things that made me very happy to move into weather so I could only talk about weather and not have to talk about the sad. But this street naming, where we look at putting something up forever, a lot of times cities want to celebrate things, and they'll do that through celebration. But as this is a history of West Jordan, we need to know the good and the bad that have happened here, the happy and the sad. This, as they've said, it's a sad moment, but if that sign can make one person think before they do what that other gentleman did, that it's worth whatever amount of money that goes into that. So I would like to make sure that my support is fully behind what we do here, and that we make sure that we honor a resident of West Jordan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Door. Who else would like to speak to the council tonight? All right. I am not seeing any hands raised online, nor am I seeing anybody else indicating that they'd like to speak in person. So we will close the public hearing on this one and turn the conversation to the council for discussion. We'll start with Councilmember Councilmember Green.
I was going to make a motion if there's no others. And I'm going to move to approve ordinance number 23-40, an ordinance renaming 1510 West between 8870 South and 9130 South to Eli Mitchell Way.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Green, a second by Councilmember Whitelock. Discussion to the motion. I've got a few comments I'd like to make, but I'll let Councilmember Pat go first so I can try and compose myself.
At your discretion, Chair. Thank you. In the past, when we've reviewed issues such as these, street addressing and fees seemed to be the main concerns, and seeing as how there aren't any concerns from adjacent businesses and there aren't any fees that we're discussing, this seems a lot more poignant than our only other foray into renaming a street, which was a friendly rivalry between two high schools and a renaming. So this is much more poignant. I'd wholeheartedly endorse the motion and second.
We'll go to Councilmember Jacob and then Councilmember Bloom.
Thank you. I just wanted to just also express my support for this. And And my appreciation for the words of Mr. Bedore there. He summarized it very, very well. This is a great thing to do. One of the first things that we did when I was elected was recognize a police officer who had passed away and renamed the building that y'all are sitting in right now after a police officer who died in the line of duty. And shortly before that, before I was on the council, we were building a new playground out on the west side and had recently had a tragedy in our community and decided to rename the playground after a child who had died in our community. And I think this is a good thing. It's going to be interesting to see how this precedent kind of goes forward from here, because unfortunately there's probably more tragedies than we have streets to name. But in this case, we can do something. So I'm in support tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Bloom.
As Mr. Bordor said, this is something that's part of our history. And one thing I've noticed in this room tonight is this room is showing how much love that we have in our city. And I feel absolutely honored to be up here and to be able to say yes for this name change. So thank you for being here tonight.
I want to say thank you to the family for being here. I can't imagine what it would be like to lose a child. We have 5 little boys. I cannot imagine not being able to give one of them a hug because of a very poor choice somebody else made. It's not everybody who could take a tragedy like that and share it with the world and share their pain and their grief, but at the same time share hope and cause others to think about those who are around them. I know after the passing of your son, we've had many conversations with our kids about safety and what they can do and thoughts about what we can do. And I appreciate you continuing to share it up with the public. And I very much appreciate you bringing this question to the city council tonight so that we can have a part in ensuring your son's legacy and helping make sure that he is remembered by the community. So thank you for bringing this to us tonight. Ms. Quick, could we vote?
Councilmember Green,
Absolutely, yes.
Vice Chair Bloom,
With love, yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Black,
Yes.
Chair McConaughey,
Aye.
and Councilmember Whitelock.
Yes.
Thank you. I show that motion passes 6-0.
All right, that brings us to ordinance 23-39, which is renaming of a proposed renaming of 8760 South, portion of 8760 South to Joshua Eli Way. Ms. Thompson, I believe you're going to introduce this one to the council as well.
Yes. This was also a request by Lisa and Jeremy Mitchell for the renaming of the street in which they reside to be renamed Joshua Eli Way. Again, the county has said they give us the support as long as council is in favor of the change. As I understand it, is also to honor Eli, but also another young man who lost his life. That I'm not certain. I'll let the family speak to that, but I do believe he may have resided on this street. This one has several more intersections, but they're all minor signs, something that it can be done in-house with ease. And every resident who is addressed off of that particular street has signed the petition in favor of this change.
Council, are there any questions for Ms. Thompson before we open up the public hearing? All right, check online. Not seeing any comment or any questions from staff or from council for staff. Therefore, thank you, Ms. Thompson. We will open the public hearing. If you would like to speak to this item, now is the time to do so. Again, those online, please hit the button to raise hand to indicate you'd like to speak. And if you're here in person and would like to speak to this public hearing, please come to the podium now. We'll start with Mr. Mitchell.
All right. So everybody that lives on this road, which there's 4 houses impacted. One of them is my sister that lives across the street. The other one is my scoutmaster growing up, and the renaming why Joshua Eli is Joshua. I'll let them kind of tell you the Joshua, but they're here tonight. But Joshua is their son, and they live on our street as well. And then we have one of Eli's best friends. Their family's here as well. These guys. So just so you know, the support. It's a very small street, just kind of by Riverside Elementary as well. So for those of you that know that school, but the proposal for that is really for us. We live on that street, and we want to honor Joshua and Eli. And there's not much. You guys all know the story about Eli, but I would like you to hear a little bit about who Joshua is now and kind of their family as well. And their family. I mean, his dad and mom, growing up, they were like my second parents. They just a little background on them is when I was 12 years old, they didn't even have kids, and they bought a minivan so that they could take us water skiing and all our scout camps every month. So it's just dedicated. And I'm sorry for the young men that I get to work with now, but we don't get to have as much fun as I did when I was a youth because of those amazing people. But we'll let them kind of tell their story a little bit about Joshua.
All right, thank you. And again, if you would start with your name, city of residence, and then we'll start the 3 minutes.
My name is Wayne Diamond, and I'm a resident of West Jordan. And Joshua was my son. So during Christmas, we just finished a Christmas vacation one year, and my son was going back to school at Utah State University. And I don't know if you know going up the canyon, Way Road, which was one of the most deadly roads in America. And it was number 2 in Utah next to Highway 6. But anyway, there's barriers there now, so this doesn't happen again. But he spun out on a bridge and was hit head on with his semi. And at that school, there's been 112 students, just students, that have been killed in that canyon. And we proposed to get barriers up there. We got barriers there. Since the barriers have been replaced, not one student has lost their life there. So anyway, this is just a memory for us about my son, Josh, and I'll let my wife explain more.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond. And again, if you would, name and city of residence, and then we'll start.
Natalie Diamond, West Jordan, Utah. Transplant from the east side, but love to be here. And just so you can see what a good-looking young kid he was. So you heard about the accident. Josh was he was the best of our family, and we say that all the time when it's somebody who's gone, but he really was. And it was like, why did you take the best? But that's what happens. And the Mitchell family was like family to us, and they felt like they lost family. And when we lost Eli, I felt like I'd lost another one. And that was probably the second worst night of my life, trying to process Eli being gone and Josh being gone too. And I wish that we could have as poignant a story as to why we should rename that street, that it would help everybody. But I think it helps Jeremy and Lisa, and helps Will and I. And it's a thank you to us, and to Jeremy, to say, hey, let's join these families forever with a street named after both of our boys. My kids love the Mitchell family. They loved my son. And we just think we've looked for a way to honor Josh permanently, and nothing quite worked. There was nothing public we felt like we could do to help this, besides make Sardine Canyon a little safer. But this is kind of a terrible way to have it happen, but something good for us, that we can now have a permanent memory of Josh as we drive down the street every week and see, Eli and Josh's names next to each other, because our families have become so close. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Diamond. Anybody else who would like to speak to this item tonight? All right. I'm not seeing anybody in person, and I'm not seeing any hands raised online. Therefore, we will close the public hearing and check with Mayor Burton, who wanted to make a comment.
Sardine Canyon, my daughter and wife were driving up there after this incident, and it was raining, and they hydroplaned and landed on those barricades. They're both alive and well. My wife broke her nose after hitting it, but thank you for making a difference after Joshua's incident.
Thank you. Councilmember Whitelock.
I just want to thank the family for being here tonight, sharing your stories, but also for others so that the tragedies don't continue. That's very admirable. And I appreciate you doing that for our community and for our state. Because, yeah, Sardine Canyon is very dangerous, and drinking and driving is very dangerous. And the ways that we can help to prevent future tragedies, it's important. So thank you. And thank you for all the friends that have come to support.
Councilmember Pack.
Thank you, Chair. So just to process my comments, I am in favor of this recommended motion. I just wanted to also ensure, as a steward of the public trust, that we're looking at all sides of the issue. I remember when we were working on changing New Bingham Highway to Copper Hills Parkway, and because of a very small street in Magna, far removed from us, that was named Copper Hill Drive, singular, Copper Hill, and we're trying to go to Copper Hills Parkway, that the county had a problem with the similarity of that naming. It made me think of when Jordan Commons and Jordan Landing opened up at approximately the same time, and I had more than one friend who went to the wrong place for the movie. Being in such close proximity and sharing the name Eli, which is very poignant, I just want to ensure that as we continue looking into perhaps additional name changes, that we ensure that we cover all the bases with police and fire and the county, and so that there wouldn't be any discrepancy as to where to go for an emergency service. But also, as I mentioned with the first proposal, seeing as how there aren't any addressing issues, the four homeowners have signed off on that, and there isn't a request for fees. I'm in favor of the proposal. Thank you.
Not seeing any other lights, I will make the motion that we approve ordinance 23-39.
I will second that motion.
Motion by Councilmember McConaughey, second by Councilmember Green. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Bloom, then Councilmember Pack.
Thank you for being here, and thank you. This shows how much we are a community. This shows why we live where we live. This shows why we get to know our neighbors, because those relationships mean the world, not just to individually, but it's part of why we love to live in West Jordan. And so for you guys to be here and to bring these name changes to us, it says so much, not just about you, but about where we live. I also had a dear friend die in Sardine Canyon. So I wasn't expecting to hear that. So my heart is full of love and full of honor to be up here and to be able to approve this name change for our community and for your families. So thank you for being here.
Councilmember Pack, then Councilmember Green.
Oh, great. Thank you. I wanted to hold off on this until a motion. So if indeed the fee waivers are being pulled, just as a private citizen, of course, I'd be happy to donate to the cause. I don't know what the idea is in terms of fundraising, but if the fee waivers, resolutions 065 and 066 are truly being dropped, I think there'd be a lot of support still from the community for this. Thank you.
Councilmember Green.
Thank you for being here and doing this application.
All right. With that, Ms. Quick, let's vote.
Councilmember Whitelock?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I typed in the wrong place. Councilmember Pack?
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob?
Yes.
Chair McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Green.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 6-0.
All right. That brings us to our next public hearing.
So can I ask, so I'm going to ask Mr. Anderson as our parliamentarian. We have heard that the fee waivers you're requesting those to be withdrawn. So, and I just heard an affirmative. Because it's on the agenda, do we need to have a motion to do something with those?
Oh, I've got it.
Okay.
So with the first two ordinances to rename completed, one quick clarification I wanted to make, Mr. Anderson, we don't have anything date specific on that, right? So if, there was a question from staff about potentially waiting until May for the signage, but I don't believe there's anything in the ordinance about that, so it can go into effect.
That's correct. There's nothing in the ordinance relating to waivers of fees or timelines.
Okay. Thank you. If either of those were for my child, I don't think I'd want to wait. Thank you. With that, we come now to Resolution 23-65, which is the waiver of fee for now Eli Mitchell Way. Mr. Anderson, your name is on this one, but since we've heard that it is no longer necessary or no longer being requested, we will go ahead and open up the public hearing. If anybody wants to comment with the understanding that that's being done because it was noticed as a public hearing, if somebody wants to speak, they could, even though the item is not expected to be approved nor executed by the council.
But then my question would be to Mr. Anderson, that you can help address this, is because it's on the agenda, do we need to take some sort of formal action like to table it or do something? Because it's been withdrawn and it's been noticed as a public hearing and everything. I saw the city attorney shake his head no.
Yeah, there wouldn't be since it's being pulled by the applicant, there wouldn't be a formal motion that you would need to make as a council on this matter. Council Chair McConaughey is correct with what he would like to do.
Beautiful. So with that, we will open the public hearing for an item that is no longer being requested. So if you want to speak about the waiver of fees, now would be the time to do so. You would hit the button to raise hand if you're online, or if you're here in chambers, you would come to the podium. Seeing nobody indicating a desire to speak, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Return to the council. I will echo what Councilmember Pack said. Since there's not been a request to use city fees to help pay for this, or use city money to help pay for this, if the family were to do a request to the public to help fund that change, I'm sure there are many people that would like to be part of honoring your son's legacy in doing so. Myself and my family would be honored to donate to that cause. So if you would please let us know, we'd appreciate it. Any other discussion for them? The council. With that, I am a little bit of a quandary similar to you, with no proposed motion other than to move on without Mr. Anderson. I see your light.
You can just proceed. There is no formal action the council needs to take because it has been pulled by the applicant.
We will do so and move on to Resolution 23-066. Again, this was noticed as a public hearing, inviting folks from the public to speak to this. Although there's no action anticipated, if you would like to, now is your opportunity. Again, please hit the hand icon if you're online, or if you're here in council chambers, please come to the microphone. And I'm not seeing anybody stand as if they're going to rush to the podium, nor am I seeing any hands raised online. Therefore, we will close the public hearing for this item and return to the council. I'm not seeing any lights for further discussion. Therefore, we will now move on to our last public hearing of the night, which is Resolution 23-62, the Justice Assistance Grant. I'm wondering if we want to take a brief recess, however.
I move that we take a 7-minute, 8-minute recess.
Second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. We'll take a brief recess for about 7 to 8 minutes. It is 6:49. seeing as our 8 minutes is stretched to 9. But with that, we will return to our agenda. The last public hearing we have this evening is for Resolution 23-062, which is concerning a Justice Award grant, which we're going to hear from Deputy Chief Robertson about.
Thank you, Council Chair McConaughey and council members. The police department has applied for, once again, the Edward Bryan Justice Assistance Grant, or the JAG grant program, for 2023. We would like to recommend that the council authorize the mayor to accept this grant and sign the acceptance form. As you're aware, the grant program provides federal funding to state and local agencies who meet the established criteria and submit appropriate applications and supporting documentation. Our department has consistently qualified for these funds and used them to advance department objectives in a fiscally responsible way that helps reduce the impact on the city. Maintaining robust reporting systems, continued policy management, and meeting accreditation standards are a few of the factors that help the department ensure that we are qualified for these funds and other outside funding sources. Our goal for the 2023 application was to improve our technological abilities and operational efficiency. So our grant requests were 3 major requests: $15,000 for police drones to expand on the city drone program. These drones will provide indoor and outdoor capabilities, including thermal imaging, mapping, and emergency and tactical uses. The cost includes training and support for the program. The drones will not only improve our capabilities, but will help keep our staff and community members safe. I'd just like to share a couple of examples of how that can happen. Drones have been consistently used in emergency situations to search for missing people, including children. They're able to search large areas in a quick way. And these drones will be used for that purpose. That also help keep our tactical and patrol units safe. Just recently at a local jurisdiction, drones were used to respond to an armed suspect. They were able to locate, identify him, verify that he was armed, and allow personnel to move in safely and stop that threat before he was able to hurt anybody. So we would continue or hope to use our drones in the same way. We also requested $14,000 for new and improved cameras for our crime scene and forensic teams. As we continue to investigate crimes that require detailed crime scene work, it is important that we have the best and most up-to-date tools to accurately document all types of evidence. These cameras will allow us to continue to do that. We also requested $15,000 to remodel and upgrade the crime scene trailer. These needed upgrades will allow the trailer to be functional in supporting the use of new technologies and equipment. The upgrade includes improved lighting, power, and digital terminals, and improved storage areas and capacity. I would like to acknowledge the help and support we received from the finance department, specifically Jeremy Olson, as well as Kevin Thacker from our staff, who not only completed the applications for us, but they also continue to manage the grants and maintain records and help report back to the Bureau of Justice on the use of the funds and the outcome in the supported programs. Thank you for your support of the police department. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Any questions before we open the public hearing? I'm not seeing any in person nor online. So thank you very much, Deputy Chief Robertson. We'll open up the public hearing. Anybody wishing to address the council on this item, this is your opportunity to do so. If you're online, please hit the icon to raise hand to indicate your desire to speak. Or if you're here in chambers, please come to the microphone. I am talking to the 2 of you that are here in person. All right, I don't see anybody online nor in person. So we will close the public hearing and return the discussion to the council to determine if we want to accept these funds. Councilmember Green.
I'm going to move to approve resolution number 23-62 with the rest of the verbiage listed.
Also, go ahead. I'll second.
Motion by Councilmember Green, second by Councilmember Bloom. Any discussion to the motion? Councilmember Whitelock.
I just want to thank staff in the police department and in administration for applying for these grants and for keeping us to a level that we qualify and dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's so that we can continue to get them. Thank you.
Similar to Councilmember Whitelock, I want to say thank you to staff for continuing to pursue grants wherever they may be found. Last time I sort of tongue-in-cheek suggested I'd be curious to know the lifetime grants that have been obtained and secured by Mr. Olson. I would find it very interesting to see if we have a running total or could present maybe in reports to council a running total of grants that have been received throughout the budget year. That would be a very interesting number, I'm sure.
We'll get that
Try to keep those reports under 2 minutes.
for it.
Sorry, I tried to listen to one out of each year and I didn't catch anything from
I'll
either.
go first because this is more serious. I said, we'll try and get that information to you as soon as we get a grant to fund that.
All right. Thank you.
Corbin said he had to keep it. Corbin said he had to keep the report to 2 minutes. So
yeah, and here I am lengthening things out. Apologies. All right, Ms. Quick, let's vote.
Vice Chair Bloom,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
yes,
Chair McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Whitelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Pat.
Yes.
Thank you. That motion passes 6-0.
All right, that brings us to city council remarks. Does anybody have any comments at closing? Councilmember Green.
I'm going to thank Councilmember McConaughey for reminding me because I didn't put it on my calendar. For those of you that RSVP'd, Monday night is the fire department awards. So, and I believe it starts at 6. Is that correct, Corbin?
I believe so. I'll double check.
If you RSVP'd like I did and forgot about it because it wasn't, somehow you didn't put it on your calendar, please remember. That's all I have for tonight.
Yes, 6 p.m.
Any other remarks from council? All right, there are no administrative items, therefore.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Green, second by Councilmember Whitelock. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.